Alexander I, in Russia known as Alexander Pavlovich or Alexander Paul's son, was born in December 1777, or on December the 23rd, and died on December the 1st, 1825, aged just 47. He was the Russian emperor from March 1801 until his death. Also the first Russian Grand Duke of Finland from 1809 until his death, and the first Russian King of Partition Poland from 1815 to 1825. He was born in St. Petersburg, then the Russian capital, and died in Taganrog in southern Russia. He was, until the Napoleonic invasion of Russia in 1812, a reasonably moderate ruler, although much of his liberalism was then on the level of rhetoric rather than on the level of practical decisions. Later in his reign, he became increasingly conservative, even reactionary. Some Christians have made somewhat or even much of his friendship with the Baltic German aristocratic woman Juliane von Krudener, who reportedly largely drafted the so-called Holy Alliance, which proclaimed that in the foreign relations and in the domestic rule of countries, the ordinances of Christ's doctrine should be or must be the rule. It was signed by Alexander I, the Prussian king, and the Austrian emperor, but nothing really came of it in practice. Despite his earlier liberal rhetoric, he continued Russia's absolutist policies in practice. He did initiate some minor social reforms. His moderately liberal advisor Mikhail Speransky even came up with a plan for a Russian constitution that would have established legislative assemblies and the governments and courts. And the legislative assemblies would have been based on a series of indirect elections. However, those male citizens who met the property requirements would have been able to elect the judges. Arguably, had this constitution been implemented, it could have either prevented or at least postponed or mildened the Russian revolutions of 1917. The collegia was abolished, or collegia was abolished and replaced by the State Council, which was created to improve legislation, but according to the Russian-American historian Nicholas Ryasanovsky, the council tended to be extremely conservative. In foreign policy, it changed Russia's position relative to France 4 times between 1804 and 1812 among neutrality, opposition, and alliance. By the Treaty of Tilsit, signed in 1807, he joined Napoleon's continental system, which was designed to prevent, except in certain cases, Britain's trade with continental Europe, and essentially to starve Britain into submission, but that never happened because Britain had a too strong navy and economy and a too wide network of colonies, and various European merchants, continental European merchants, simply subverted or ignored the rule. Through the so-called War of Finland, 1808 to 1809, he annexed the entire country from Sweden after Sweden had refused to join the continental system. And then in 1812, Napoleon invaded with his Grande Armée, or Great Army, Russia, but was badly defeated. In the second half of his reign, or final decade of his reign, he purged schools of foreign teachers as education became more religiously oriented as well as politically conservative. He oversaw the creation of military settlements. He died of typhus in December 1825 while on a trip to southern Russia, leaving no children as his two daughters had died in childhood. Both of his brothers wanted the other to become emperor. His younger brother, Nicholas I, succeeded him. There are some rumors according to which he faked his death and actually then moved to Siberia, living as Fyodor Kuzmich, a hermit monk, but these have not been provenly substantiated.